Travel with Dave using the internet. When you travel overseas, there's some good advice for how to get a good internet connection. Number one, if you stay in a hotel, the best internet is always going to be on the first floor. And the reason why is because you're going to be using wireless internet, which is Wi Fi. The connection from the provider goes into the main office of the hotel, and they have a Wi Fi router at their main office. That's where you're going to get the best connection. They then use an Ethernet cable, or possibly they do it wirelessly. Usually there's an Ethernet cable that runs to the second floor and attaches to another router. If the first router is old or busy, that performance is going to impact the router on the second floor. Then there's going to be an Ethernet cable running to the third floor. That router is going to be impacted by the performance of the router on the second floor and the router on the first floor. So what happens is if the first floor router, if they unplug it, you lose everything on every floor of the hotel. So almost every hotel, there's going to be exceptions, but almost every hotel you're going to get the best performance on the first floor. When I travel, I usually use the second floor so I can get a bit of exercise. The other thing is you can buy, in fact, I have one right here. This is Wi-Fi for the USB. Unfortunately, with Windows, you can only connect to one Wi-Fi at the same time. But you can put two Wi-Fis on your computer, which is probably a laptop. And if one of them isn't good, switch to the other one and see if you get better performance. I've got about, I don't know, it's got to be 4 or 5 Wi-Fi devices because each one gives different performance. And what I discovered is that my laptop has the best Wi-Fi. It's better than all these devices. The other thing you can do is buy an antenna. I have an antenna, it's about this long, and I plug it in to my computer. It can only go so far. The distance, the strength weakens over distance. And I put it outside the door or out a window, and it improves the Wi-Fi. I also have another device that you plug it into the electricity, and you go down to the office and you plug it into the electricity and you connect an Ethernet cable. The internet goes into the device, into the electrical system, and it goes through all the power outlets throughout the entire building, as long as you're on the same circuit. And then if your room is in the same circuit, then you plug in your Ethernet, plug it into your computer, you get Ethernet speeds, even if you're many floors away. Doesn't always work, like I said, because you have to be on the same circuit. I also have a repeater device, it's behind me, where you plug it into the wall and it boosts the signal. The problem is you're going to have difficulty in third world nations finding an electrical outlet. My room has one outlet with 2 plugs. My last hotel had one outlet with 1 plug. And all of my devices, 2 fans, my laptop, charger for the motorcycle battery, all the devices, the 2 shavers I use, all have to plug into one outlet. I did have to use a software program to manage my Wi-Fi because I couldn't figure out how to get the password and I wasn't online. So I had to install a different program to get the password so that I could put it on the other device, which I used to plug in. Windows cannot connect to 2 Wi-Fis at the same time, and therefore the other device really just wasn't worth it. And in fact, I think it was crashing my computer, so I had to remove it. So you're going to want to get a lot of little Wi-Fi devices for connecting to the internet. If you're in a hotel, chances are the best signal is going to be the door which for me is over there, to your room, and the Wi-Fi is probably outside your door. It's not going to be out the window because that's the back of the hotel or the front of the hotel. There's exceptions. If you have balconies, you might have your Wi-Fi going out on the balcony. But in general, the door that enters your room is where you get the best signal. I slide the antenna under the door, or I open it a crack and I put the antenna through, or I just open it and I keep my computer. I move the tables near the door to get the best signal. It usually works. I usually see improvement. And it's going to be different for every device. And whether it's 4G or 3G, the higher the G, I guess it's I don't know if it's a wider wavelength or whatever. It penetrates the walls better when you get into 5G. I've also purchased my own router. I bought an expensive $200 router. The hotel happened to have the same router. They made a good choice. You buy your own router and you put it somewhere to pick up their signal, and you connect to your router, which is connected to their router. It's called a bridge. They also nowadays call it a mesh. So that's most of the ways to do it. You can also use a cell phone to create a hotspot, or you can use a laptop to create a hotspot. So you connect one of the devices to the Wi-Fi, and then all of your other devices will connect to your computer through a hotspot. It should be a feature on your phone or on your computer. I got to check my time. So those are all the ways to improve your performance. When it rains in a third world country, you're going to lose your internet. Also, the devices need to be rebooted because you're probably often going somewhere hot. If it's hot, you got to reboot the devices. I usually pull my chair out, reboot it myself, or I ask them to reboot them. And I usually ask when I go to the hotel which room has the best Wi-Fi, and I take the room. They usually give it to me because I usually stay for, a couple of weeks. The other issue is that routers, a Wi-Fi router, they're not designed to last forever. If it's 2 years old, I would replace it. Because I have full understanding of how they work, I would know when to replace it. But if you go there, you should tell the people at the hotel, if the Wi-Fi router is more than 2 or 3 years old, it probably is, they should ask the network company, the provider, to give them new Wi-Fi routers. They're dirt cheap. There's other things called dual WAN routers where you can connect to two ISPs. In the last apartment I lived in, I told them sign up with another company and use two companies, and you won't have to worry about your problem. And then you get the dual WAN router, which at the time they didn't do. The place I'm at right now has a dual WAN router. But then all you do is you just swap the wire when the internet goes out, and everybody gets a service, and you buy the service cheap. So these are some tips on how to improve your internet or how to deal with your internet when traveling. If you go to a place like a cafe or McDonald's or a shopping mall, they're going to offer free Wi-Fi, but it's almost never going to work. You're going to be lucky if it works. They're going to send you the password, and it's going to take you half an hour to get the password. And then when you put it in, it's expired 27 minutes ago. Okay, so that's it. If you have any questions or comments, please post below.